Hello parents, and welcome to another edition of Meet the Staff. And today we're going to have a cook up because this staff member apparently can cook. We'll soon see. But we'll get to know a little bit about Jason Mayoh, who has been teaching here for quite a number of years. He's been in the teaching profession for 13 years and he works in the TAS faculty, and he'll tell his story to you as we cook his meal. So without any further ado, I'll just invite Jason, Mr. Mayoh, to come over. Look, before you start cooking, you just warm up the plate. How about you just give us a little bit of an introduction to you?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your journey, maybe where you went to school, where you went to uni, your experience in teaching, and whatever else you can think of telling our parents.
Sure, Peter, of course. So yeah, as Peter said, I've been teaching for 13 years, but the journey started many years before that when I went to DLSL Revesby. So I've been through the Lasallian charism since I was a young fella, and I know I really connected with that side of things, with the service, the community. That really connected with the sort of young man I was and what I was about. And then I had a couple of influential teachers. Some I've had the pleasure of working with in this profession, some who I've seen in the past as well, but had a PE teacher who really rubbed off me. I thought, you know what, there's nothing better than imparting knowledge on younger men or younger people, and that aha moment when they go, oh, I just learned a skill or I just learned something new. So that really clicked it for me, saying, I want to help others, and how can I do that in a space that I enjoy? So that's where teaching sort of married up.
Okay, and you started off as a PDHPE teacher, that's your training?
Yeah, so PDHPE teacher is what I started with to begin with, and then I did that for a couple of years and I realised that there's a lot of PE teachers out there, so I went back and retrained in mathematics. So I did a mathematics course for a year and then retrained, and then there was also another opportunity to teach in the TAS faculty many years ago, so I tried my hand at TAS and just loved the creation, loved the building side of things, so I retrained in that too, and so now I'm a TAS and PE teacher at the moment.
Okay, and maths?
And maths too, I can teach maths, but yeah.
Okay, so you're also a cook?
Amateur cook. I haven't died yet, so that's a good sign.
We'll soon see, and with my help, who knows?
Yep, okay.
But tell us what we're cooking today.
So today we're going to be cooking shakshuka, which is a Middle Eastern dish. In Australia we have it as a brunch option, but this is a brinner. This could be at breakfast for dinner for those who haven't had a brinner before. So I like to cook this on a Sunday evening and take it to school on a Monday because it's a nice little double up meal. Or myself and my partner, we've been making this a lot as a one pan dish when we go camping. So excellent. It's, yeah, looking forward to it. Shakshuka, yeah.
Good sound, isn't it?
It's good sound. Alright, so we're just going to soften the onions and then we'll do the same thing with the capsicum in a moment. Okay, so that's like sizzle. And then you're going to get to the seasoning side. So as I said, got the harissa seasoning. I like to measure with love, so people can get teaspoons or 1 tablespoon will be plenty, but I think this one you just want to pour enough in until you smell that nice aroma of it being heated up. And then we'll put the tomatoes and some beans through it. A little bit of chilli.
Smell it straight away.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful smell. Whenever we add some tomatoes, you've got to add some salt, some pepper.
I like on these Meet the Staff for our parents in our community to find out something that they may not have known about our staff members. And so I know with you, Jason, you're right into your fitness, you're into your running, you're into your marathons.
Yeah.
And most recently, and I hope you can talk about all of that, but most recently, you've been into some fundraising. And you were telling me that you ran 3 marathons in one session.
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you want to explain all of this? The fundraising, the marathon, the madness, the fitness, the shoes, the socks, everything that you're doing for yourself?
Sure. Madness is definitely a word that can be thrown around when you're running that sort of distances, but it didn't start with me running marathons. I always enjoyed running, and that was running through sport, like rugby league was my sport growing up. It wasn't until later in life when unfortunately I lost a mate through a tragic accident, and then we connected with the charity at that time because we were looking for a way to help support friends who had been experiencing some hard times, and we thought, who's had a connection with this charity and what can we do to fundraise with them? But years after that, I sort of came across some influential people, Ryan Holiday's one person, Ben Crow, and they sort of made you look at yourself saying, what are your strengths, what are you good at, and what can you do to leave this world a better place? So that sort of really stuck with me when I was having a bit of a down moment, reflecting on like losing a mate, what can I do, what's next for me? Like, he was so young, like what am I even doing with myself? And then running sort of popped up. So yeah, got into running long distances, started with the City to Surf, and then my first ever half marathon. And like anything, you get used to that distance, so you slowly build up more and more. And then yeah, I started to chew off things like running for a certain amount of times for as long as I could, or the most recent one, as you talked about, was like the last man standing format, where every hour I'd run 6.71 kilometers for as long as I could. So that was 19 hours and 120 Ks.
So 120 kilometres?
Yes, 120 kilometres in one sitting.
One go?
Yeah.
And 19 hours. So just take me through how that all began. Was it at your house?
Yeah, so I just sort of like set up camp in my garage, because I do these events around Sydney. There was one recently in Sydney where a person ran like 500 something kilometres, so an amazing effort. But I thought if I can do it from my garage, I can sort of reduce some of the costs around buying into an event or whatever it was. So any of those costs could then be directed towards the fundraising. And yeah, it was just map out a loop, just set up my garage. I had like a camping chair with all my fuel in front of me, so like baby foods, Nutri-Grain, heaps of gels, all the sorts of stuff you can sort of fit in, because it's a nutritionist friend put it as, it's an eating challenge with some running in between. So you just got to try and keep up as much fuel as possible. So it was tough, a lot of learning to be done. But yeah, I definitely want to give it another crack and see if I can improve on that 120.
So when you did a loop, how long would that take you?
So it's roughly about 45 to 50 minutes. You don't want to move too quick, because then you're burning unneeded energy. You want to be making sure you keep your heart rate as low as possible, and you want to try and be keeping as efficient as possible. So it's straight back to the camp chair, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, feet up, ingest as much as you can, and then, or not as much as you can, ingest enough fuel to get you through the next loop, and then go again. And again, you just tick them off as you go.
Yeah. And how do you keep motivated?
I have a couple of writings on the sign that were in setup when I was ticking off my loop. So LFT means like live for Tom. That's the person who I lost. It's just living for the people who've lost. My partner's name up there, family and friends, just making sure when you get to those, the hurt locker or the dark zone, whatever people want to call it, you have that next little bit just to say you're not going to finish on this lap, or you got one more step.
Okay. So talk to us about the charity that you're raising money for.
I am currently working with, and have been for about 5 or 6 different charity events over the years, with the Miracle Babies Foundation. And I first came into contact with them through another friend who had a premature baby born at 25 weeks, his little baby Isla. And she was now happy and healthy. She's 10 years old now. And just being exposed to the sort of work they do, I had no idea about premature babies. I had no idea about the support that's out there for them. So through Chad and his partner's story, I was just exposed to what the stuff they do. So that was the connection between the early onset of Miracle Babies, and then yeah, through the loss of another friend, we sort of put 2 to 2 together, saying, well, they're doing amazing work. We can support them doing some things like this. So yeah, that's how I sort of led with working with them.
Yeah. It's something I admire in you, and certainly living out a couple of gospel values there, particularly around doing things for other people. So congratulations on all that you've achieved there.
Thanks, Peter.
With all of that. Now look, how are we going with this? I think it's probably ready for the next step.
So that's got the tomatoes thickened up. We're looking and smelling very, very tasty. So what I'll do is I'll just create these little wells in the tomatoes to crack the eggs in. Okay, so normally you can have 2, 6, however many eggs you need. We're going to go with 4 today because there's a couple of mouths to feed. And eggs go into the holes you created. Try and not get any shells in there, doing well so far. And if you do get some shells, like I tell my partner, it's character building. So hopefully there's no character building in today's meal. And then what we'll do is we will put the lid on and let that sort of cook the eggs both top and bottom, and then hopefully about 5 minutes or so we're ready to go.
Now while we're waiting for this to cook, talk to me about the young men here at De La Salle. What do you think we can offer them? What do you think you can offer them in terms of their education and their learning, and also their mental health, and everything else that goes with being an adolescent young man? What can you offer?
I say this every time we have an incoming parent interview, like what's the difference between our school and the state system schools and other schools out there? Like there are great schools out there that aren't Catholic, but what I pride our staff on is the old saying is we don't care how much you know until we know how much you care. So what we instill with our boys is just an interest. So every time I see students in my year group and the school as well, it's like, how are you going? How's your sport? Or how's your arts? Like what's the latest? How's the family? So just having that genuine care in your students, so that when the young men see that, it's almost infectious. So they go, okay, Sir actually cares about me, or Miss cares about me. Maybe I should care about other people and put that first. That's just that base value of, pro-social behaviour, doing something good for someone, and they do something good for someone. So it's just creating that community in the college to start with. And then boys' education in general, I feel like being specialists here at DLSL, or we pride ourselves on knowing our young men, and that role model work of the DLR graduate document, leading through action, which is the Year 8 theme this year, compassion through action. We also focus on service, which is a massive thing. I think that just creates that tangible experience with boys who, not everyone, but a lot of them are hands-on learners, or a lot of them find connection with movement or connection with contact. So if they see they're doing something and there's a direct result of something positive, I think that's going to keep them a lot more in line with our gospel values without having to really force the issue. It's just that natural connection with the learning of it.
Great. Now, the other thing about you, you're in your second year as a leader of wellbeing, or a year coordinator as we used to call them.
Yeah.
So you're working in the pastoral area, and you're also attending to the learning needs of our young men. How do you balance that up, and how do you work in that space?
That is been an ongoing learning battle, not battle, but a long learning challenge for myself, because each day is different. You're working with people, you're working with not only what's happening in the school space, what's happening at home, and there's some days where students come and tell you stuff that really gets you down, you feel sorry for them. So you've got to try and have that balance between connecting and making sure they're supported, but also the accountability around their academic well-being as well. So making sure not only are they supported from my pastoral leader side of things, but focusing on keeping them accountable for the other side too. So that's been that hard act to balance, finding between well-being versus academic and keeping across all aspects, which I'm still learning.
Yeah. And it sounds very similar to the role of being a parent. You love your children unconditionally. You want nothing but the best for them. You want them to thrive academically and pastorally. You want them to get through school and have good friends, and they come from very good families. So it sounds like your job works very much in harmony with that of a parent.
Oh, and my job is made that much easier when we have the support of that school-home connection. It's not us versus each other, we're all in this together. So we want what's best for their sons, just to flourish, as we like to say here, like to flourish and just to be their best selves. So if we can have both home and school on that same journey, everything else just hums along.
Great. Sounds like a pretty good partnership. Well, I know it's a very good partnership that we have with our parents and everyone in this great community. Should we have a look at what's happening over here?
We should have a look, I think, just to see how we're progressing.
Oh, wow.
I normally do the little touch test to see how googly our eggs are. They're a little bit on the harder side, but we won't be too critical today. Yeah, I think we have ourselves a finished dish.
Now, look, I don't know if I can tilt this up so we can see it on the camera. I don't want to spill it at all.
That with a bit of toast. Good to go.
Awesome. Now I have to have a taste test.
Of course.
Oh, the spices, they really make it, don't they?
Yeah, that harissa blend is a little cheap, that one, so definitely take that one to home for free.
There is definitely a chili hit in there, which I actually don't mind. But I had this dish at a cafe recently in Coogee, as I was just telling you, and I loved it then, but I think you might have them covered here. I think this is pretty good.
I love the compliment. I'll stick to teaching, so no worries about me leaving to be a chef.
Look, but we do have our hospitality class. We also have food tech here, so there may just well be a place for you to step right in here. Jason, thank you very much for being on Meet the Staff. I like leaving the final word with you. Is there a piece of wisdom? Is there something that you would like our either students or parents to take from who you are and what you do? Leave us with some wisdom from Jason Mayoh.
Okay, so what the Year 8s were doing today in their pastoral lesson was saying you don't have to change the world, you just got to change your world. So to the boys, to the families, it's pretty hectic out there. We live in a busy world, but if we can focus on what we can control, those little good deeds we can do each day, it makes our school environment, our home environment, our world just that little bit better. So yeah, you're the standard you walk past, make sure you keep yourself and your sons accountable, and keep doing the great work we're doing.
Excellent. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.